Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be providing a long-term market analysis update for ATOM. We're going to cover the 50-week simple moving average, some key levels of support. We're also going to talk about the ATOM Bitcoin ratio and a pattern playing out on this pair. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, by the way, I will leave a link to my Twitter page in the description below. I am fairly active over there if you guys want to go ahead and check that out. So first, I do want to talk about the 50-week simple moving average, which is the yellow line on this chart. It takes the average closing price of the last 50 weeks. And the reason I really want to focus on this is because it has been a very key level of support and resistance for ATOM basically its entire history. So you can see initially going back here in 2020, this was a key level of support for ATOM in which we had multiple bounces off of this level. It held as support, and then ATOM was able to go up, forming higher highs, continuing this uptrend. And then it came back down in the summer of 2021. It continued to hold this level as support. We bounced off of it and then continued to make that higher high. And then we had another bounce right here in December of 2021, continued to hold it as support all the way up until this breakdown right here in April, earlier on in this year. And then since then, we really haven't had a retest of this level. So for the entirety of the bull market, ATOM held this level as strong support on 6 separate retests. So that leads me to believe that this is going to be flipped into very strong resistance when we do inevitably get a retest of the 50-week simple moving average. So I do want to start off by looking at this and extending out the 50-week average so that we can get a better idea of when we could eventually retest this moving average. So you can see this moving average has been downward sloping ever since August, and it will continue to average down because 50 weeks ago we were closing prices at these much higher valuations. And if we were to extend out its current rate of change, you can see the 50-week average could be averaging down very quickly into the end of the year and into Q1 of next year, in which we could have a retest at some much lower valuations. And a retest of this level does not necessarily mean that ATOM has to make a crazy rally up. And the reason I want to focus on this for the long-term analysis is because, again, when we have such a strong level of support with 6 separate retests, each one holding support over the span of a 2-year-long bull market, it really does become a key level when we do have that retest to the downside after we've broken down below it. And again, we haven't gotten that retest. And the first interaction with a very key level such as the 50-week average does tend to be the most significant in terms of volatility. So that's definitely something I will be paying attention to into the end of the year, into the Q1 of next year, just because of how quickly this moving average is going to start to move down. Again, if we were to go back 50 weeks ago, we can see that ATOM was closing prices upwards in this $30 zone. And today we're closing prices around $10. So I think that does a great job of putting into perspective how quickly this will be averaging down just because we're hanging out at these levels, down 66% from 50 weeks ago. Now, I also do want to talk about this longer term zone of support, which we have from $6.78 all the way up to $8.50. And I do want to talk about this zone as more of a range and not one specific price point, because throughout ATOM's history, we've had some very key interactions that have ranged within this zone. We can see that right here, back here in 2019, this was very strong resistance. ATOM had these highs upwards in this zone before ultimately capitulating and forming that bear market low. And then we had another retest of resistance in August of 2020, had a very significant rejection off this level as well, in which ATOM actually dropped by about 57% in just the following 4 weeks. So a very strong rejection right here. And then notice how when ATOM eventually broke out above this level, it had a very quick and sharp rally up, forming this new all-time high in which the rate of change of this move up really started to pick up. We had the euphoria phase leading into this first peak in May of 2021. And then again, we came back down. We had that retest of support. We had a bounce off that level similar to the 50-week average. And then the lows from back here in June also held this level as support. We bounced off that region, and then we started to make that move back up on this big rally from that zone, again around $6 up to this high from September at $17. So this is going to be a very important level of support for ATOM going into the next few months, and I would expect on any sort of retest that would set up the potential for a higher low or some sort of double bottom where we could very well have buyers and demand start to step into this zone once again if we do continue a correction back into that region. So lastly, I do want to talk about the ATOM Bitcoin ratio and a pattern happening right here on this chart. So we've got a descending triangle with some support right here around 58,000 Satoshis and then a downward sloping resistance where we had this first high from back here in September at around 85,000 Satoshis, this lower high in November around 72,000 Satoshis. And we're starting to have this pattern where, again, we're coming back down, we're retesting this level of support on multiple occasions, and those highs are getting lower on each consecutive move up. So typically these resolve to the downside, and that view also has confluence with this longer term rejection at this macro resistance level around 85,000 Satoshis, where if I just zoom out here, we can see how this has time and time again held strong resistance for Atom on the Bitcoin ratio. That was a level of resistance back here in June of 2019, another level of resistance in September of 2021, and then January of this year. So I would expect that there is a higher probability that this breaks down. And the implications of a move back below this support, again around 58,000 Satoshis, would be that Atom is going to have some underperformance with respect to Bitcoin, where it doesn't have as much strength on any move to the upside or to the downside. But that certainly doesn't mean that this has to break down. We've seen this pattern break out to the upside several times. So if we do start to have a move back above this high from November, around 72,000 Satoshis, that's going to be a very key sign that this is not a bearish pattern. And in fact, we might have another move retesting this resistance. And that would look something like this if we're able to break above this downward sloping resistance and then again take out that high from back here in November around 72,000 Satoshis. And if we do get this move, I will be looking out to this longer term zone of resistance. And from there, we're going to have to wait and see and just play it level by level. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.